Let's go ahead and tap in. So you see here, Pro Football Talk. This is the complaint. And let's see, will this mess it up? No. Okay, good. So Terry Pegula, owner of the Buffalo Bills, stated in reference to player protest against racial injustice that, quote, if the black players don't like it here, they should go back to Africa and see how bad it is. I will repeat this for those in the back. Terry Pegula, owner of the Buffalo Bills, stated in reference to player protest against racial injustice that, quote, if the black players don't like it here, they should go back to Africa and see how bad it is. So again, we talk about this league that is roughly 70% black. And an ownership base that they love to throw out there that, oh, we got Magic Johnson now. He's not the majority owner. We got your man's Khan down there in Jacksonville. That's the closest we've gotten. Still waiting on Hove to get a team. Hove keep doing those Rock Nation Super Bowls, and that was supposed to be a thing of him finding a way to get a team. And it's been how many Super Bowl halftimes and that man still don't got no team? That's y'all man's. But wait, it gets worse. Jerry Jones responded to a question posed by Jim Trotter regarding the dearth of black professionals in decision-making positions for NFL teams by stating, and I quote, if blacks feel some kind of way, they should buy their own team and hire who they want, end quote. Now, while that sounds damning, there is a lot of truth in this statement, but it's not the truth you're thinking. Let's read in between those lines. What is Jerry Jones telling us? I think and feel he's saying as though I went out there and bought my own team and I hired who I wanted. And if we look at Jerry Jones's track record, he's hired a lot of white people. And while there was a lot of people caping, a lot of people who look like me caping for Jerry Jones when that photo came out with him out there in Arkansas when he was a teenager, saying that was how many years ago? You don't even know what his mindset was back then. You don't know what his mindset is now. So you mean to tell me the man that was out there on the front lines while the school in Arkansas was being integrated, and he happened to be amongst a group of people that was vehemently opposing the integration of that school, you're telling me he was just there to check the vibes? You're now going to tell me that that guy who was just there to check the vibes, who made his money in oil, has made himself the biggest star of the Dallas Cowboys, who has been caught out here with multiple women who are not Mrs. Jerry Jones, allegedly, who has enabled a man that used to work for the team. He allowed that man to work for the team even after he took upskirt pics and vids of not only Dallas Cowgirl cheerleaders, but his own daughter. That's who Jerry Jones is comfortable hiring. A man that will take upskirt pics and vids of cheerleaders and his own daughter. So when I give you all the backstory, when I give you all the proper context, now tell me what you think of Jerry Jones saying this quote and what he means by saying, and I quote again, if blacks feel some kind of way, they should buy their own team and hire who they want to hire. That means he bought a team and he's going to hire whoever the hell he wants to hire, including a man that got caught on a Dallas Cowboys draft day war room stream taking upskirt pics and vids of Jerry Jones's own daughter, allegedly. What is your man's Roger Goodell going to do with this? Jim Trotter, who I spoke on earlier, he turned down the NDA because he wanted to get all this off and get it done fast. And while it's still current and while people were still willing to go on the record and corroborate what he's saying. This right here, as much as we still see end racism in the end zone, and it takes all of us in the other end zone, as we keep hearing about social justice initiatives that the NFL and the NFLPA have collaborated on to throw money at. As much as we keep getting lit halftimes because Rock Nation is involved. As much as Brian Flores was actually hired again in the league. Although Colin Kaepernick and Eric Reed, let's not forget Eric Reed, Colin Kaepernick and Eric Reed will never play another down in the NFL. But even with all the other positive spin stuff, it still comes back down to this is who has the real power in the NFL. We could talk about Mahomes getting $500 million. We could talk about Nasty Man getting fully guaranteed money. We could talk about, your man Chris Jones being able to end his holdout to move some of the money around to get a bag. We could talk about all of that. But the bottom line here is that Terry Pegula felt empowered enough to say if the black players don't like it here, they should go back to Africa and see how bad it is. Furthermore, Jerry Jones saying if blacks feel some kind of way, they should buy their own team and hire who they want. Now you tell me, is there enough Super Bowl halftimes to undo all of this? Is there enough six-figure checks that could be cut for social justice initiatives to wipe out all of this? Obviously, he took a lot of heat because every Super Bowl he would ask Roger Goodell about diversity, and Roger Goodell would start tap dancing and then bring up Jay-Z's name and think because he made a deal with Jay-Z that means all black people should be, accepting of Roger Goodell because he made a deal with Jay-Z. And I think it worked. It worked, right? Like it got some people of color to kind of like fall back. All right, well, Hove's there now. Hove is going to fight for us, not understanding anything about how Jay-Z actually gets down. Jay-Z only cares about who he sees in the mirror. But anyway, ultimately, what it comes down to is that the NFL felt like they did enough, like a lot of companies did, especially during that time frame. Social unrest, pandemic, all of that. A lot of companies acted like they cared about people of color, minorities as a whole. It's now 4 years later, 4 years later, we all know 90% of that stuff was all bullshit. Okay? So I think ultimately there's going to come a point in time where the players, the actual employees, are going to have to stand for what they want. If the UPS dudes can strike, like I've been really wanting to get into this. If the UPS dudes could strike and get a bag, they shut down deliveries and they had to cough up the bag to all of them because it was already dudes making bank. Drivers were already getting top pay. But they still walked out for the ones down below, for the dudes in the warehouse. Like they was outside for real. They held it down as a group. If the NFLPA had any gumption, had any balls, had any cojones, they would follow the lead of the goddamn UPS workers. But that's the problem. Every time they do a strike, a lockout, somebody always bends over. And it's always the players in this case. The quarterbacks don't want to stand and unite. because they are always taken care of. So they're treated differently. They're on a higher tier. I try to talk about stories like this so I can do my part. Like I don't have a big platform. I don't have whatever, but this type of stories means a lot to me because I've worked NFL games. I've been in these stadiums. I've heard some things said. Like a lot of the shit goes on that never gets to be put on display like this, like in a real lawsuit that's going to be acknowledged and publicized and being given the light it deserves. Like there's a lot of stories of other, black employees, just, people of color employees that work in sports media. We carry a lot of secrets of nasty shit done behind the scenes, like corporate, high level labor. We carry a lot of that. And a lot of us have to sign NDAs or whatever the case, or you just don't say nothing because you don't want to mess up your bag, whatever. Like there's a lot of that inherent peer pressure in sports media. But Jim Trotter catching heat every Super Bowl year when Raj shows up for his press conference and he says, how come there ain't no black people here? And, they forced him on the way out, said it was budget cuts, whatever the case may be. And Jim Trotter walked away. And when they offered him a bag to sign an NDA, he said, no, I don't want your blood money on the way out. I'm good. And you know why I'm good? Because I'm airing you out. I'm choosing to air y'all out instead of taking the payoff.